Hey everyone, Kyle once again. Welcome back to another movie review, and yeah, I'm just trying to lay like this again, because why not? Um, the next movie review decided to, yeah, probably because you probably know from the title of the video, yeah, probably some people are gonna laugh at me for it, but when it's another thing that when you also that like when millions of children grow up watching the show, I was one of them, so. And it was also a while before I saw the film though, but I did enjoy it, And seeing it back in the day, when I still enjoyed it. I remember seeing it back in the day, like I said, a couple while when I was a kid, and I still enjoy it today. So I'm reviewing Sesame Street presents Follow That Bird, the first Sesame Street movie ever. From says down there. So yeah, Sesame Street's Follow That Bird. It was released in 1985, and like I said, it was the first motion picture film. And oh, well, first of all, what can I say about Sesame Street? Um, and for those of you wondering, I'm wearing a shirt with a Snuffleupagus, with Mr. Snuffleupagus on there. See, you can see right there. Yeah, I just wanted to wear it just for the sake of doing the review because I'm reviewing Sesame Street, But I really do enjoy the film, And when the film came out, it didn't do well at the box office, sadly. Made like 13 million. That was it. Don't know. I'm not sure. Still, it's unknown if it's budget though. But it said it failed at the box office. So, but it made only 13 million. Which is sad. Because for back in the day, people were so excited, to see a first Sesame Street film, and it didn't do that well. It's kind of disappointing. Um, But despite doing poorly at the box office, it did got a lot of praise. I think it was critically acclaimed. Yeah, it was for a fun, calling it a fun road trip film. That's basically what it turns into. And it does have has a 6.6 IMDb, which I think it's too low for that on IMDb. It deserves much higher. But it has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's very good. Um, but still, like I said, I still enjoy the film, and because it's like I said, it's a road trip film because you see the story opens up with this business group called the Feathered Friends, and they're discussing about Big Bird here because they want to take like other birds and put them with real bird families, and they discuss about Big Bird, they talk about how his age. He's really 6 years old. In the film, he's 6 years old, really enough, Back then, I didn't know how old he was, so yeah, so he's 6 years old, so he's basically still like a child. But I don't know how many years that is in bird years, but if there is, um, so they want to put him in a nice bird family, and one of the members, name of Miss Finch, wants to go to Sesame Street and talk to him to persuade him to live with another bird family, and it opens up Sesame Street with the theme, da 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 da, the theme for Sesame Street, and Big Bird's like skating along, and he's talking with the one bird, and Telly is carrying bunch of cans, drops them, and Big Bird falls, and Oscar the Grouch says, "Nice going, Turkey." Oh, and speaking of Oscar the Grouch, the film opens up before the Feather Friends scene. Oscar the Grouch was up saying like the Grouch anthem, stuff from American Flag, and a bunch of other Grouches, um, singing their what they call the Grouch anthem. But yeah, so then Miss Finch comes in, wants to talk to Big Bird, and wanting him to live with another real bird family. Says, "Would you like to live with your own kind?" Which Big Bird eventually agrees to, and talks to Snuffy, that he's going away. So, but he tells him to stay here and look after his nest, and I guess he's packing some things, and he puts like a tie in. I don't know why. I don't know what Big Bird wants with a tie, but he puts that in there, I don't know why. What do you want with a tie, So everyone on Sesame Street is saying goodbye to him, and of course Miss Fish is like, "Don't look back," So he's on his way to Ocean View, Illinois, to meet with the Dodos. So he meets them. Of course, the Dodos, they're just a clueless family, basically. They act so very clueless, So they take him to their house, which is like a birdhouse, an actual house, but on a stand, like a birdhouse, So back at Sesame Street, Big Bird writes him a letter, that's explaining what's it like there, and Snuffy is there watching his stuff, he overhears it. He says he'll send him a postcard. It's a giant postcard, So he says he's ready to come and visit, and the Dodos, they all laugh at him, saying since he's not a bird, he cannot come and visit, But Big Bird wants him to, but since he doesn't like that, so he goes and runs away, wants to head back to Sesame Street, And while back at Sesame Street, at the shop, on TV, you get a cameo appearance by Chevy Chase as news broadcaster, He says everyone's the Grover and the other I forget what their names were. I'll remember them in a second. But they're looking at the TV, and his is Sesame. Mr. Chevy Chase mispronounces Sesame for Sesame Street. He's like, oh, Sesame Street, sorry, or like, oh, I was it by the name of Big Bird, and Grover says, "Did you say Big Bird?" And Chevy Chase goes, "That's right, Big Bird." It was also, this film has some nice little cameos there. Like I said, like Chevy Chase as a news broadcaster. They didn't get a cameo appearance from Kermit the Frog, who's reporting at the Dodos. When talks to Mrs. Finch, that she explains that she's gonna find Big Bird and make him get back to the Dodos, And Kermit the Frog is like, "Well, there you have it, the Dodos," and they certainly are. So everyone back on Sesame Street, they just decided to go and find him. So they split up in groups, like what Bernhard, they take their plane, and Grover going solo on his own, going as Super Grover, so he's gonna fly, Super Grover. Oscar goes with Oscar, Telly, and Maria. They're gonna and also one of the the honkers, use their noses as honkers, they'll go and in Oscar's car called the Sloppy Jalopy, and in front of his license plate, says Scram. So they'll go one car. Gordon, Linda, and Olivia. I think which one is the Linda. She's the one that's deaf, that do sign language, the one who uses sign language, and Cookie Monster goes in the Volkswagen, and the Count goes on his own in his Countmobile, who has his license plate goes named from 1 all the way up to 10, and which there's Oscar's car right there, and Count's car is right there. Which, to be honest, the Count's car, looks it's a cool looking car, I always said that the Count's car looks like a pretty cool car to drive in, So now they all head off to go and find Big Bird, So on the way, when Big Bird's walking along the highway, he stops at this place where the turkey farm, the turkeys are being loaded into the truck, and you get appearance by Waylon Jennings, Waylon Jennings as the truck driver, so he gives them a ride, and they start singing a song about because there ain't no road There ain't no road too long, that song. There ain't no road too long. And everybody else is singing the song, like, what was this when the song, Cookie Monster goes, "Whoa, take me to cookies!" Or the he's like, and you get to count the telephone poles. 1 telephone pole, 3 telephone poles. You get the idea. So yeah, um, and then a Big Bird he gets dropped off in front of this a place where he spends the night on a farm, which is by these two kids, a little boy and a girl, which funny thing is there's no parents around and they're pretty capable of running this whole. Then they're the ones running the whole farm on their own. Like the next day. It's just them and Big Bird. They're like taking care of this farm on their own. I was like, where are the parents? Are those two little kids running the farm on their own? I thought that was kind of like, you know. And yeah, so he spends the night there. That's the next day with the two kids, and that's where they start singing a song. Easy going, easy going. We'll laugh our cares away. So Miss Finch is then is continuing to find Big Bird, and she sees him. What the funny thing is, here's another thing. She sees that she's driving in her car, and she deliberately sees that Big Bird is right ahead of her with the two children, right? And she's driving along, and Big Bird says goodbye, and he walks all the way over here. No, this is the screen, and if you see where he's walking, goes all the way over here, and Miss Finch doesn't know where he went. Big Bird's literally right in front of her from some time of distance, but you can clearly see him, and walk up to a little bit to the side, and she doesn't know where he went. She's probably so blind, can't be able to see what's clearly see right in front of him. He can't. All of a sudden, he disappears from her sight. And he gets away by hiding in this haystack and running inside of it. And also, then you get sometime in a bit shortly before that, you get introduced to we suppose our villains. You get these two con men, called the Sleaze Brothers. They run this cheap carnival, and they're both played by one is played by Dave Thomas. And the other one is played by Joe Flaherty. How his last name is pronounced. He's the guy. He's the guy who's in Happy Gilmore. Calls Happy Gilmore. He's like, "You suck, you jackass." The one who's calling him. Keep calling him a jackass. He's the one. That's him with Dave Thomas, the Sleaze Brothers. So they hear about They hear about him on the news, and they want to try and catch Big Bird to make money off him, So, while that's going on, then you get another song with Bert and Ernie as they're riding on their plane. They start singing another song about riding on a plane, Or another scene when it was during the nighttime, before the farm, Maria and Oscar, they go to this diner which is called Bad Eats Don't Drop In, where everybody's there is rude, always complaining and everything, and Oscar he likes it because that's right up his alley, kind of everything, because that's how he is, And everyone's everyone's tossing lettuce, because it's called a toss salad, Everyone's tossing the salad everywhere, And back to during they all end up getting close to making this place called Toadstool, which is having a parade, Miss Finch catches up to Big Bird again, and she chases him sees him into the middle of this parade, and everyone in their cars, they see him though, and he goes and runs off again, and they all follow Mrs. Finch, and Big Bird runs into Dave Thomas and Joe Flaherty, you know, and they expected to hide him, so they hide. Of course, Big Bird is also gullible, so he goes into this big cage, you know. He says, "I am a lucky bird." And of course, they're both laughing, you know, because they got him, you know. Then everyone else drives right past the carnival, you know. So they're not gonna let him out, but they give him an idea to hide him by painting him blue, you know. And he's very sad. You know, and the two kids, like as Dave Thomas is counting the money, two kids see him. He's very sad, so he tells them to call Sesame Street, you know. So they do, you know, and everyone else um knows that they drove past the carnival, so they head back, you know. Um, and so the carnival, while Dave Thomas and Joe Flaherty are there sleeping with all their money, you know, like this. Um, they see he's locked in the cage, so Linda goes and gets the keys from Dave Thomas, you know, and Cookie Monster, he goes takes a box of sees a box of cookies that's on Joe Flaherty, and he's like, goes, "Rawr!" He's like, oh, don't wake up, don't wake up, don't wake up. Thank you, you know. And as Maria is unlocking the keys to the cage, trying to find which key it is, and starts counting the keys, like, one key, and Telly's like, no, you know. But he's still whispering. He's still counting the keys, but whispering. He's like, two more keys, you know. One key left, you know. But Dave Thomas and Joe Fowler, they see them. They drive off in their car with him, you know. So Gordon and Olivia, they chase off in the Volkswagen, which is pretty much almost got eaten up because Cookie Monster keeps eating the car up, you know. I thought it was funny. Cookie Monster eating the Volkswagen up, you know. So they're driving, you know, and the door is open, and Gordon is telling Big Bird to jump into the car, you know, and he's like, you told me not to. He says, you tell me not to jump from a moving truck, you know. But Gordon says, but I'm giving you permission for once, you know, just for once to jump onto the car, you know. Of course, he doesn't want to, but he eventually does, you know. So the two guys, they get pulled over by a state trooper with the one kid that that Dave Thomas took an apple from him earlier, you know. He like takes the apple from his lunchbox and eats it, you know. So he's there, and the state trooper is John Candy, you know. John Candy is there as the state trooper, and he tells him, it's like, Dave Thomas asks him, "What's the charge?" You know, and he's like, "What is it? How about on counterfeiting, extortion, fraud, impersonating a dentist, stealing an apple from a kid?" You know, and then John Candy says like, "You can tell all that to the judge." And Joe Fowler was like, "The judge." This one I thought was another funny line that John Candy says. He goes says, "Be a man." And Joe Fowler was like, "Oh, I don't want to be a man." So yeah, and I guess they eventually get arrested for that, you know. So everyone's back in Sesame Street. Everyone's happy to see him, and then one of the buildings, you know, you see get a small appearance from Elmo, you know, because for anyone wondering, you know, for those who are wondering, you know, why Elmo was not in this, he gets a small appearance from disappearing from one of the building's windows, because back then I guess, you know, he wasn't that big of a character until years later, you know, or shortly after that he eventually became a main character on Sesame Street, you know. So yeah. So if you wonder where Elmo is, he only appears at the end, appearing from a building from one of the windows, you know, in a small cameo appearance. Because, like I said, he wasn't that big of a character till some time later, you know. So yeah. So Miss Finch comes back, you know. He wants to take him back to another bird family, but but Maria tells everyone that he is here with that the Sesame Street and everybody is his family, and then Mrs. Finch allows him to stay here on Sesame Street, and he goes back to his nest, which Snuffy's been sleeping in, keeping watch on his nest. They told him to, and Snuffy and Big Bird, they're all happy, and they hug each other, and then Gordon brings around the Volkswagen, which has been almost entirely eaten by Cookie Monster, and Lily's like, what happened to the car? And Gordon's like, well, ask him, and Cookie Monster's like, hi, excuse me, still eating the piece of the hood, Cookie Monster, So now Oscar is being carried. Is gonna ask his trash man named Bruno to carry him around because he says, I need to get rid of all this happiness, And now as the credits start rolling, the count pops up, and starts counting the credits. Like, he doesn't say the name. He didn't say the names of the people who are making it. Like, 1 directed by, 1 associate producer, 1 music score by, But until when it comes to the executive producer, it says 1 Joan Gets Goonie, and he goes, hi mom, because Joan Gets Goonie, I guess, was one of the creators of Sesame Street, so that's why she's been considered as the mother of Sesame Street. That's why the Count said that, called her by her name during the credits and said, hi mom, because I guess she's considered as the mother of Sesame Street, until all the credits have shown, then Count pops up again. He's like, what was it? How many credits was it? That's 278 colossal, amazing credits. I love motion pictures. And then of course the typical, when he laughs, you hear the thunder in the back, So yeah, I always enjoyed Follow That Bird. I always consider it as a children's classic, It's too bad it didn't do well at the box office, one that I mentioned is directed by a guy named Ken Kwapis, or I guess how to pronounce his last name though, Ken Kwapis, or the K sound called Wampus. I forget how I don't know how his last name is pronounced, but this was the first film he directed, but then he would go on to direct films like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, the film License to Wed with Robin Williams. He's just not that into you. He Said, She Said. And he also directed Big Miracle, was a film with Drew Barrymore about saving those gray whales in Alaska. That film didn't do that well at the box office either. So, but those are some of the stuff that the films that he directed, and this was the first film he started directing. The back here says Family Circle, said a whole movie a movie the whole family can enjoy. I can agree with that. But I really enjoy I really enjoy Sesame Street in general, because that's nothing I grew up with. I'm pretty sure like millions of children grew up with Sesame Street, and still love it today. I still love it today. The voices of the characters were good, as they do in the television. The human characters, they were good as they were in the show as well. And it was nice to see those celebrity cameo appearances appear in a Sesame Street film, like Chevy Chase, John Candy, Waylon Jennings, even Dave Thomas and Joe Flaherty, were there as the sort of like the villains, if you want to call them in the film, They were good as well. But I do enjoy the film, and I'm glad it has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's a really good thing for, Just looking up here. What other thing else? And like I said, it's a road trip film, you know, because everyone's on the road searching for Big Bird, you know, as Big Bird is on his way back to Sesame Street, so it's considered like a road trip film, you know. But how are you see, you know, where you see it, like whether you like the film or not, or for anyone who isn't a fan of Sesame Street, you know. But I always enjoy Follow That Bird, you know. For the first movie, I give it a 2 thumbs up, you know, 2 thumbs up. Uh, of course, they also made another Sesame Street film, but it was a film that's about Elmo in was it, I forget, was it Elmo in Grouchland, I think that was called. That's when Elmo was now the main character, and he's the star of the film. And that's a film that also didn't do that well at the box office either. Yeah, but it doesn't matter if they fail at the box office, as long as you grew up with the show, you know, and you do enjoy the film, you know, that doesn't matter. So yeah, so that's my review for Sesame Street's Follow That Bird. I'll always do enjoy this film, you know. And thanks for watching. Take care. And if you haven't seen the film, and who is a fan of Sesame Street, go and check it out for yourself, or you've already seen it, you know. Thanks for watching, but take care and stay tuned on the next movie review. And Sesame Street is always forever, and for our millions of children, you know, who will ever watch the show, you know. So yeah, as for me too, you know. But thanks for watching and take care, and I'll see you in the next movie review. Later.